The 2025 Video Music Awards became a decisive moment not only for fans of BTS, but also for the wider music industry when Jungkook secured the Song of the Year award for his track, Never Let Go. This recognition is notable for several reasons that extend beyond the trophy itself. It reflects how the global music landscape has shifted in recent years, how Korean artists have entrenched themselves into mainstream Western markets, and how the strategies behind promotion, branding, and artistry are redefining what success looks like in the 21st century. Jungkook's win carries weight because it is not simply about one single reaching commercial success. It represents the growing influence of non-Western performers at events historically dominated by American and European names. To understand the importance of this award, one has to trace not only the path that led Jungkook to this stage, but also the larger dynamics at play in the international entertainment industry. From a structural perspective, the Song of the Year category has traditionally favored tracks that achieve cultural ubiquity, spanning radio rotations, digital streaming dominance, and visibility in advertising or viral trends. In past decades, winners were usually linked to artists backed by the American music industry's most powerful record labels. The fact that Jungkook, representing HYB and Columbia Distribution in the US, now occupies the space points to the way the industry has reorganized around digital-first strategies. The song Never Let Go did not depend solely on radio or conventional press. It spread organically through TikTok snippets, fan-driven streaming projects, and global media coverage of Jungkook's career trajectory. When discussing why this particular song won, it is essential to look at the mechanics of how audiences consume and elevate tracks in today's fragmented yet interconnected digital environment. The song itself plays a major role in explaining the outcome. Never Let Go carries lyrical clarity, structured melodies, and a production style that sits comfortably between K-pop's polished sensibilities and Western pop's accessible formulas. For award bodies like the VMAs, this blending of influences demonstrates universality, a crucial element for winning a title such as Song of the Year. Moreover, the track is not overly experimental. It appeals to broad demographics without alienating listeners unfamiliar with K-pop traditions. In other words, it balances global reach with simplicity. This factor is critical when evaluating why a Korean language or bilingual artist can not only chart but also secure institutional recognition in the United States. The timeline of Jungkook's solo work also contextualizes the win. Following the group's temporary military enlistments and solo ventures, Jungkook emerged as a leading figure, particularly in 2023 and 2024, with tracks like 7 and Standing Next to You. These earlier songs already placed him in Billboard's top ranks, showing that his solo identity was commercially viable outside the BTS brand. By the time Never Let Go was released, there was already an established infrastructure of anticipation. Fans expected quality, media outlets gave coverage, and streaming platforms provided heavy playlisting. This background momentum meant the track had the tools to reach audiences beyond BTS's fanbase. The VMA recognition can thus be viewed as the culmination of 2 years of strategic positioning, where Jungkook consistently delivered music that balanced his roots with international pop frameworks. A significant dimension lies in how global brands and media companies positioned Jungkook in the months leading up to the VMAs. His alignment with Calvin Klein and other major campaigns kept him visible not just in music circles, but across lifestyle and fashion industries. Visibility translates directly into cultural presence. When voters or panels decide which track deserves recognition, they are also influenced by the artist's omnipresence across cultural conversations. Few other candidates had the same cross-industry momentum in 2025. For example, while American stars released strong contenders, their reach was often limited to music channels. Jungkook's exposure spanned commercials, billboards, and high-profile events in Tokyo, Seoul, and New York. This level of saturation amplified the impression that his music was inseparable from the cultural pulse of the year. Considering the business aspect, Never Let Go represents an experiment in how record labels manage international artists. Traditionally, Asian artists faced barriers entering the US mainstream, often relegated to niche audiences or cultural novelty status. Jungkook's win demonstrates that the infrastructure has shifted. Distribution partnerships, global fan engagement strategies, and digital-first promotional campaigns are breaking old boundaries. The VMA's awarding Song of the Year to Never Let Go can be seen as an institutional acknowledgement of this transition. It validates not only the artist but the broader business model. one where fan-driven promotion, social media algorithms, and cross-cultural branding redefine success metrics. Point 1 must also examine the fan-driven dimension, often underestimated in traditional analyses. BTS's ARMY has long been recognized for its ability to coordinate mass streaming, voting, and trend amplification. For Never Let Go, this mechanism played a decisive role. However, attributing the win purely to fandom would be an oversimplification. The song's success combined organized fan support with genuine crossover into casual listener groups. The balance between dedicated support and mainstream adoption created the conditions necessary for a Song of the Year title. In this sense, the award is evidence of how fan culture and casual audience behavior can intersect in the digital age, producing measurable outcomes at institutional award shows. Culturally, Jungkook's win signifies a reshaping of what constitutes global pop. The phrase was once used primarily to describe American artists with international reach. Now, it increasingly refers to artists who operate across borders both musically and strategically. Never Let Go contains elements of universality, but is still tied to Jungkook's identity as a Korean performer. Instead of erasing his background to assimilate into Western pop, the track integrates his identity into the mainstream. This reflects a larger trend. Non-Western artists no longer need to dilute their cultural context to achieve recognition. Awards like Song of the Year are beginning to reflect that reality. From a critical standpoint, the award also sparks discussion about industry gatekeeping. For decades, award shows like the VMAs were criticized for marginalizing non-English or non-Western contributions. By honoring Jungkook, the VMAs respond to shifting audience demographics and viewing habits. Global audiences are not merely secondary anymore. They form a significant share of the consumer base. The industry cannot afford to ignore them. Therefore, awarding Never Let Go was not only an acknowledgement of artistic merit, but also a reflection of commercial pragmatism. It aligns the institution with the audience it seeks to retain. At the same time, it is important to emphasize that Jungkook's recognition was not guaranteed. He was competing against Western pop heavyweights, many of whom had strong chart performances and cultural presence. What tipped the scales was likely the combination of cross-industry visibility, digital dominance, and symbolic value. In awarding him, the VMAs positioned themselves as forward-looking rather than conservative, signaling to global viewers that the show is adapting to 21st century realities. The win also provides insights into future trajectories for K-pop and solo ventures. For years, analysts speculated whether K-pop idols could transition into long-term solo careers beyond the group format. Jungkook's trajectory suggests that it is not only possible but potentially transformative for the global industry. His success provides a template. Maintain group affiliation for cultural capital, pursue solo projects for individual brand building, and leverage cross-industry partnerships to sustain visibility. The Song of the Year title consolidates this template as a viable career path for other Korean and international performers. In practical terms, this award will likely affect how record labels and agencies strategize. With proof that a Korean soloist can capture a top award in the US, labels may invest more in transnational collaborations, language adaptations, and cross-market promotion. The stakes are not limited to music sales but include endorsements, media rights, and global touring potential. Jungkook's win is thus both symbolic and financial, reshaping how companies evaluate global investment strategies. Jungkook's Song of the Year win for Never Let Go at the 2025 VMAs represents more than a personal achievement. It reflects broader dynamics across music production, industry gatekeeping, fan engagement, and cultural shifts. It validates a model of global artistry that operates outside traditional Western dominance while still appealing to the widest audiences possible. As the first of 5 parts, this discussion frames the award not merely as recognition of a track, but as a case study in how music, business, and culture intersect in today's globalized entertainment landscape. This victory also aligns with broader discussions about the role of language in global music. Historically, English was considered essential for crossing into US or European mainstream markets. However, the trajectory of Latin pop, Afrobeat, and now K-pop shows that language barriers are less prohibitive in the streaming era. Never Let Go demonstrates that songs can achieve ubiquity regardless of linguistic boundaries, provided they possess strong melodic hooks and universal emotional tones. The VMA's recognition of the track validates this shift, signaling to artists worldwide that English dominance is weakening in favor of musical universality. From an economic perspective, this win underscores the interconnectedness of global music markets. Korean entertainment agencies like HYB no longer focus solely on domestic consumption. Their strategies involve multi-layered global rollouts, from simultaneous releases across platforms to partnerships with US labels for distribution. The result is a synchronized global audience rather than segmented regional ones. Never Let Go benefited from this infrastructure. Simultaneous charting across Asia, North America, and Europe amplified its presence. For the VMAs, awarding the track also means aligning themselves with this new globalized model, recognizing music that is not regionally bound but globally activated. The symbolic impact of this award extends to discussions about identity and representation in popular culture. Jungkook's win challenges long-standing narratives about who can dominate Western award stages. While artists from outside the US have been recognized in the past, their wins often felt exceptional or symbolic rather than systemic. Jungkook's achievement suggests something more structural. Non-Western artists are no longer outliers but central figures in shaping the year's most important music. This transition marks a redefinition of cultural legitimacy in award spaces. The influence of brand partnerships cannot be overlooked. Calvin Klein's campaigns featuring Jungkook elevated his visibility in ways that complemented his musical endeavors. Brands increasingly operate as cultural amplifiers, pushing artists into mainstream consciousness beyond their songs. By aligning Jungkook with lifestyle and fashion, these partnerships ensured his presence in conversations not limited to music fans. Award committees, consciously or not, are influenced by this ubiquity. Visibility across industries establishes cultural dominance, making the choice of awarding Never Let Go appear natural to both critics and audiences. Attention must also be paid to the role of media ecosystems and journalism in framing Jungkook's candidacy for awards. Throughout 2024 and early 2025, coverage consistently positioned him as a standout figure in the global music landscape. Articles, interviews, and think pieces often highlighted his ability to bridge cultural divides, manage global expectations, and deliver commercially viable music. This framing matters, as awards are influenced by narratives circulating in media channels. By the time voting processes began, Never Let Go was already embedded in cultural discourse as a frontrunner, benefiting from the alignment of fan enthusiasm and media validation. From a sociological standpoint, Jungkook's win reveals how audiences use music to negotiate identity in a globalized era. For international fans, supporting him was not only about enjoying the track, but also about validating their cultural presence in mainstream Western spaces. This form of symbolic participation strengthens the bond between audiences and artists. The VMA's recognition of the song validated not just Jungkook, but also the global fan communities that mobilized around him. Such dynamics suggest that awards increasingly function as sites of cultural negotiation, where recognition is distributed among both artists and their global audiences. In terms of future implications, this win may alter how American award shows structure their categories and criteria. If global artists like Jungkook consistently secure major titles, the distinction between international and domestic categories may blur further. Award institutions will need to adapt to remain relevant, either by diversifying their panels, adjusting criteria to reflect streaming impact, or recognizing cross-industry visibility as a legitimate factor. Jungkook's win is thus not just an event, but a signal of institutional change. One must also analyze the strategic timing behind Never Let Go. Release schedules in the entertainment industry are rarely coincidental. The track's rollout was positioned to coincide with award eligibility windows, global media events, and seasonal listening patterns. Its release during a period of heightened attention on Jungkook's movements, such as his appearances at international fashion launches and media circuits, ensured maximum amplification. Strategic synchronization between release dates and cultural events played a key role in sustaining the song's relevance through the award season. There is also the question of how Jungkook's artistry differentiates him within both K-pop and Western pop ecosystems. While many artists rely heavily on high-concept visuals or experimental production, Jungkook's solo work emphasizes vocal clarity and performance authenticity. Never Let Go foregrounds his voice as the central instrument, avoiding excessive layering that could dilute his identity. This emphasis appeals to both critics, who value artistic distinctiveness, and casual listeners, who respond to clarity and accessibility. Such differentiation strengthens his case for awards, positioning him as both a product of K-pop system and an artist who transcends it. Critics may argue that awards like the VMAs often reflect political decisions within the industry. Indeed, awarding Never Let Go benefits multiple stakeholders. The VMAs gain credibility for embracing global diversity, record labels validate their international strategies, and audiences see their preferences reflected in institutional recognition. However, these political dimensions do not negate the song's genuine impact. Instead, they highlight how music awards function as intersections of artistry, commerce, and cultural symbolism. Jungkook's win illustrates this intersection clearly, demonstrating that success in the modern industry requires more than strong music. It demands alignment across multiple layers of influence. The impact on BTS as a whole also deserves mention. While the group remains on temporary pause due to enlistments, Jungkook's solo achievements sustain the group's overall visibility in global culture. This benefits not only his career, but also the group's long-term positioning. Awards such as Song of the Year reaffirm the cultural dominance of BTS-related projects, ensuring that the brand remains central even during periods of reduced collective activity. In this sense, Jungkook's win is simultaneously a personal milestone and a collective benefit for the BTS ecosystem. Finally, it is crucial to consider the historical positioning of this award. The Song of the Year title has long been one of the most coveted in the VMAs, often associated with tracks that define cultural moments. By securing it, Never Let Go enters the canon of songs considered emblematic of their year. For Jungkook, this cements his place not just as a successful artist, but as one who shaped the musical identity of 2025. The recognition places him in dialogue with past winners, ensuring that his work is archived in the broader history of global pop music.